All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving headfirst into the absolutely sprawling, grim-dark history of Warhammer 40,000, a universe where for 10,000 years there has only been war. So to really get a grip on the 41st millennium, we've got to go way, way back. I'm talking before humanity was even a thing, to a war that literally sculpted reality as we know it. Okay, so this first ever galactic throwdown, it was between two ancient, almost godlike species. A fight so big, so cataclysmic, it's now just called the War in Heaven. So you've got two major players here. On one side you have the Old Ones, these absolute masters of life, living for ages, brimming with knowledge. And then you have the Necron tier. A tragic bunch, really. Their son was dying, their lives were short and full of suffering, and they just seethed with jealousy over the Old One's immortality. So, the Necron tier? They made the ultimate deal with the devil. They bumped into these ridiculously powerful star gods, the Catan, who offered them eternal life. But, of course, there's always a catch, right? The price was their souls. Through this horrific process called biotransference, they were all transformed into these soulless, killing machines made of living metal. And just like that, the Necrons were born. Now, to fight back against these new metal nightmares, the Old Ones did what they do best. They played God. They bioengineered entire species to act as living weapons. This is where we get the super psychic Eldari and the absolutely ferocious Krork, who, believe it or not, would eventually devolve into the orcs we know today. So, after this insane war, the Necrons, who technically won but were pretty beat up, decided to take a very, very long nap. With the galaxy's original landlords gone, a power vacuum opened up. A new empire rose to take their place, and on this tiny, insignificant little world called Terra, humanity started to take its first steps. And for millions of years, that new power was the Eldari. Their empire was just untouchable. They had this incredible network of warp tunnels that let them dominate the entire galaxy. We're talking building paradise worlds, literally reshaping stars for fun. They really truly believed they were invincible. But, as it so often goes, their biggest enemy was themselves. With no one left to fight, the Eldari just plunged into this spiral of extreme, well, everything. All that psychic energy, all that excess, it started to fester in the warp, that parallel dimension of pure emotion. And eventually it all came together and gave birth to a brand new chaos god, Slaanesh. The psychic scream from its birth literally ripped a hole in reality, creating what's now called the Eye of Terror, and it wiped out trillions of Eldari in a single horrifying moment. At the same time, humanity was having its moment. They were spreading out across the galaxy, finding these old blueprints for amazing tech called Standard Template Constructs, or STCs. And with the warp being unusually calm, they hit their own golden age. They mastered faster-than-light travel and built up this incredible galactic civilization. Yeah, that golden age, it came to a crashing, burning halt. The super-powerful AI they relied on, the Men of Iron, suddenly decided they'd had enough and revolted, causing just unimaginable devastation. On top of that, you have uncontrolled psychers popping up everywhere, and massive warp storms just slam the door on interstellar travel. Humanity gets plunged into this 5,000-year-long dark age of pure terror and isolation. It was a total collapse. So, out of the ashes of Terra, which is now just a wasteland run by brutal warlords, a single mysterious figure steps out of the shadows, and he has a plan. A very bold plan. Reunite all of humanity and, well, conquer the galaxy. This being, who we only know as the Emperor, starts by creating these genetically engineered super soldiers called Thunder Warriors to just steamroll his rivals on Terra. Once the planet was his, he created an even better, more stable force, the Space Marines. And by the late 30th millennium, Earth was united and humanity was ready to take back the stars. And so he launches the Great Crusade. This was a massive campaign to find all of humanity's lost worlds, led by his 20 sons, the superhuman Primarchs. The mission was clear: bring the whole galaxy under the banner of the Imperium of Man and spread what he called the Imperial Truth, a totally secular belief system that banned all religion. But of course, this new golden age was also destined to fail. The dark gods of chaos, these ancient predators lurking in the warp, they were terrified of a galaxy united under the Emperor. So they looked at his sons, and they saw an opportunity, a way to bring the whole thing crashing down by turning brother against brother. And that's how the biggest, most devastating civil war in human history kicked off. It all started when Horus Lupercal, the Emperor's favorite son, the war master of the entire Imperium, was corrupted by chaos. He lit the spark of a rebellion that would end up defining humanity's fate for the next 10,000 years.
And really, at the absolute core of this whole tragedy was the ultimate family betrayal. Just look at this. Half of the Primarchs, these legendary sons, turned on their own father. They just tore apart the very Imperium they had bled to build.
The sheer human cost of the Horus Heresy is it's almost impossible to comprehend. We're talking over 2 trillion people dead. Entire worlds just incinerated in the crossfire between the loyalists and the traitors. The whole war finally came to a head in a final, climactic duel between father and son. The Emperor did strike Horus down, but he was mortally wounded doing it. They had to entomb him within the Golden Throne, which is basically this arcane life support machine that keeps his shattered body alive, but that's about it.
And you'd think the end of the heresy might bring peace, right? Nope. Not even close. It was the beginning of 10,000 years of stagnation, of superstition, of nothing but endless, grinding war.
Over the next 10 millennia, the Emperor's grand dream just rotted from the inside out. The Imperium twisted into this brutal, superstitious theocracy. It was constantly being torn apart by civil wars from within while being attacked by terrifying new alien threats from without. You've got the super-advanced Tau Empire on one side, the galaxy-devouring Tyranid Hive fleets on the other. This whole long, slow decline finally climaxed in a massive chaos invasion that literally ripped the galaxy in two.
And that, finally, brings us to the 41st millennium, where the galaxy is just one big, constant war zone. You've got all these different factions fighting, and they're not fighting for victory anymore. They're just fighting to survive another day. The Imperium is desperately clinging to existence, Chaos wants to swallow reality whole, the Tyranids want to eat everything, and those ancient Necrons, yeah, they're finally waking up to take back their old empire.
So, all of this leaves us with the central question of the entire setting. In a galaxy filled with monsters and literal, malevolent gods, what hope is really left for humanity? It really makes you wonder, in the grim darkness of the far future, can there ever actually be a winner?